What's up, team? So today we're working on my 2007 Ducati Monster. It's always broken and I'm sick of it, so I'm going to fix a bunch of stuff today, and we got a bunch of goodies in this box. So I have little cold air pod filters. Upgrade not necessary. Of course I just splurged while I was buying other stuff. I got a new clutch slave cylinder. So this was originally the problem, and then while I was online looking for this, I bought all this stuff. So new clutch slave cylinders going on. Slave cylinder, O-ring, crush washers, new bolts. Sick. Timing belts. I've never changed the timing belts on this bike, and apparently you're supposed to change the timing belts like every year or every 24 months, and it has almost 30,000 miles on it, and the timing belts look like they're the original. So thank God those didn't break and got new ones. I have new little O-rings for the clutch push rod in the engine, so we're going to put some new O-rings on that. And then I have two new covers. From the factory, these bikes come with like gasket sealer. So when I took these covers off a long time ago to fix all their shit, because this bike's always breaking, I just put more liquid gasket on it. But now I've got some really nice covers for the alternator side as well as the clutch basket side. So we're going to throw those on and get this bike fixed and back to its former glory. Okay, so you guys just saw me make these cutouts. These, I use the gaskets to make them, and these are for the bolts, because not all the bolts are the exact same length. So when I take the bolts out, I can put them in their respective spot, and I know right where they go when they go back in. Well, right on schedule. Something didn't go right. Nothing ever goes right. The last time I put this stator cover on, I torqued it too tight, and now this bolt strip, that one came loose. That's fine. This one was too tight, and I stripped it with the Allen. So now I have to use an easy out. That thing is in there tight. Holy crap, you see the drill start smoking? I can't believe how tight that is. time to take off all of these bolts all around there. That's it. There we go. Oh yeah. Dirty, dirty girl. There you go. Alrighty, so I got Marcus in there cleaning all the gasket off the stator side cover. We can swing around here. You can see what he's got to get it off the block and the cover. So while he's doing that, and it's aluminum, so we prefer not to use a razor blade or a wire wheel or anything, so we're going to try my fingernail until I can't take it anymore. And then while he's doing that, I'm going to do this clutch side here. So I'm going to get this clutch side cover off and get all this gasket off and cleaned so we can do both sides at the exact same time. So let's do it. Basically, we have the belts off the bike right now, and we have old belts, and we have new belts. So this is very important that you get your timing correct, because this is an externally timed engine, which means that there's no chains, there's no timing chains on the inside of the engine. The timing for the valve train is set from this external point. This is the cam gear right here. So there's nothing running timing except for these belts. So we have a dot. You can see a dot right here on the gear, and that's going to go right here, so the timing mark is actually through this bolt, which I'll remove very shortly. So you line the gap between the teeth right here that's painted with that timing mark here. If you look right here on the crank, so right here on the crank, we have a dot right there on the bottom. And then we have this slit in the clutch cover. So I have this wrench. You want to show them? I have a 30 mil socket, which goes on the flywheel of the other side. Come with me. Let's just show them. You want to take the spark plugs out because then there's no compression. So even on the compression stroke of the engine, the air can escape through the spark plug holes. So I have to take the spark plugs out right here and right here. And then once you do that, you can take a 30 mil socket, and I can actually turn the engine over. You can see all the stuff spinning. You take this crank, timing bolt, and you put it at timing, and then you slip a belt on. So there's two belts. There's a belt for the inside gear, and then there's a belt for the outside gear. And once you get the crank set to timing, same thing up here. We have a timing mark right here, and then we have a timing point right here. So once you set this to TDC, you can put the belt on the top gear, put this to TDC, put the belt on, put this one at TDC, put the belt on, you're in timing. Once you get that done, once you get the belts on, with the spark plugs out, you turn the engine over very slowly and you listen and you make sure you have no contact and you make sure that your timing is correct. And then by that point, you know that you got your timing right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to time lapse it, so that's why we give you an explanation. So here we go. Let's get to it. Oh, those were nice and loose. That spark plug was a little bit more loose than it should be. Alrighty, so we got the belts on. We cranked the engine over to make sure that we didn't have any valve to piston interference. So we know that we set it just for fun. We set it back to TDC, and then I can see that my marks are at TDC for both cams. So even after 2 revolutions, we're still in the right spot. So to test for proper belt tension, you take a 5mm Allen socket and a 6mm. And you do this. You want the 5 to pass through the pulley on the soft side, not the rib side. So you put a 5 through, and it passes through, right? So now you want to take the 6, and you do not want the 6 to pass. So this is taking significant force. So we are in belt tension. Some people say you should check this as your belts wear in. You want to pop this cover off and make sure that everything's still in tension and looking good. Drop a comment below if you think Bryce should do a hood dump. If this video gets 2 likes, we're doing a hood dump. I have 3 YouTube accounts, you know that's happening. Alrighty, so we're finally all wrapped up on fixing the Ducati. I kind of just ran through, it's a new day, and I kind of ran through and just finished everything really late last night without the camera on, but I'm going to show you guys what I finished up right now. So I took the intake off. There used to be a huge intake box here, and now they're off, and I have the pod filters, 2 cylinders. So I got one there and one right there in the back. So I zip tied all my wires to kind of clean it up so you can see the exoskeleton better. So now you can see right through the frame, which is sick. So I got the pod filters on, and then going to the intake box was actually a breather tube for crank ventilation. Here, I'll run over here. So there's actually a hose right here. It's kind of hard to see. It's right next to the brake, the rear brake master cylinder right there, but there's a crankcase ventilation hose that goes up, and it ran into the intake box. So I actually just got a filter here, and we ran it right there now. So now the positive pressure from inside the crankcase can ventilate, and I put a filter on it so that way there's no way any impurities can get into the engine and into the oil. So that's done. You guys saw this yesterday, but we got the slave master cylinder on, and that is all good to go now. It's bled. Got the chain lube, so now we're ready to go for a ride. So we're gonna go for a ride, and you know, honestly, we're gonna romp on her, beat the shit out of her, and see if she can take it. So another thing that I did that I forgot to mention earlier is I actually took the negative battery cable off of the battery. So now that we have the cold air intakes, or the ram air intakes, it's gonna be seeing a lot more air than it normally would. So you take one of the battery terminals off, and it resets the ECU, or it resets everything. And then when you put it back on and you go for your first ride, the engine and the ECU starts to learn again, and it learns the new air to fuel ratio mixture instead of using the one that it had previously mapped. So this bike, you can't do that on all bikes, but this is an EFI bike, and I have an O2 sensor right there. So after I reset the ECU and I went for that initial ride, it was able to reset my AFRs to adjust for the more air coming in. So make sure to do that if you do a mod to your fuel injected vehicle or motorcycle. But that's all we have for you today. Stay tuned for the next video. Like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully we can be working on the Ducati again soon, but we're probably doing Mustang stuff next. So stay tuned for that video. See you in the next one. Peace.